When a person does the opposite of what you suggest, they are easy to predict, even if they claim to be working a miracle of psychology. In this way, as we've witnessed the courts play out Frank Herbert, a white, believing themselves African wizards. What I propose to do today is to discuss some things that need to be made sense of, maybe more than I'm able to make sense of them. The book Making Sense of Language is in the field of linguistic anthropology. A person's beliefs can become language, but so also can become symbols in the arts. And further, what a person is looking to try to understand can be codified in language representations. Authority can build structures based on the growing process by anticipating how young minds will change as they learn new information, as they become mature, as they experience things like love and fear, like rejection and reward. All of these interesting issues are important on their own terms, and they don't necessarily have to deal with the problem of the meaning of America's High Command's use of the name Casper. In unmasking friendly fascism for the enemy within, we see that not everybody agrees with that. They actually believe that fascism can be friendly and conscionable relative to the United States. Of course, I disagree with that. But we see some very interesting and enlightening things that happen that show the mentality that is at work. For example, if you go to Seattle and talk about the left, they will be just as likely to say, "You're talking about me, you want some of this? Go ahead and report me." It's not just the right-wing white men who behave that way. And it's important to understand in the field of psychology that authoritarian crime can sometimes come from unexpected places. And the less expected for the perpetrator, often enough, the better in terms of being able to succeed. That is why one of the reasons I think we do really need to look at the old media programs of Orson Welles and how it led to the strange phenomenon of a rumor that Paul was dead, and ultimately the mind-bending Twilight Zone and Outer Limits game of Cliff Robertson and John Lennon, who faked his death so that he could take control of authoring atrocity in America's name and then suing America for it having been done in our name. That's what they did. The Twilight Zone you witness as a Christian saloon in the clubhouse movement is being run by the most draconian of the pornographers, Yoko Ono. Sincerity is the production room of these people is a special service. But it comes down from a past of renegade and hooligan women. Notice Sinclair. Notice Notorious Ladies of the Frontier. When you get into the content of this book from 1969, you find that in fact they're the type of people who worked with Jack Ruby. And they're being represented by Yoko Ono, not mysteriously, because the very reason being is because they understand what they're doing and have organized to do what they're doing. So there are certain things that go on in this twilight zone that need to be evaluated for the way that it was encrypted in our publication guild. You notice Taylor Branch, Elizabeth Taylor's olive branch, and a man named Proper. Prop is a morphologist of fairy tales who Greg Carl leads on very heavily in his Christian screed about two virgins' pussy bow. You find that the weird scenes they talk about inside Laurel Canyon bear some resemblance to Florentine painting during the time of the Black Death. So they were in this ghoulish cover-up to set in motion a voyage of the damned, so to speak, of what we're living through now. And if you look at some of the issues of the way that they commence, you find, of all the things, the diet of worms, which is a religious headquarters from the medieval era. And here they are poisoning people in the mouth and saying, oh, well, this is about, representation of the Zeitgeist in Seattle's gay community, having cooperated for so long in all of this nonsense. They had a setup to terrorize the not very insightful about North Korea, juxtaposed against the idea that Socrates should be poisoned, the man who sits at the Jenks fulcrum. Now, when you look at the fall of the Weimar democracy, you find Alfred Goblin and the inability of people who were intellectuals to inspire the way the rowdies did using radio. So when you look at some of these books, they have an ingrained poetry to them. And it needs to be understood so that it was possible to look at what they say and what they mean while also recognizing what they're hiding. Like Jekyll and Hyde. So the publication industry ran this Jekyll and Hyde. And it's important to see that. And behind these notorious women, these frontier philosophers of pornography, trying to bend society to their will by playing both sides, by making it look shameful, but at the same time laughing about it back in the studio production room, is hostility being fermented for neoliberalism, despite the fact that these are the neoliberals. So what gives in a perplex where they promote hostility for neoliberalism while themselves gaming as neoliberals? It's very interesting when you see something like Agatha Christie's original book, which was changed to 10 Little Indians. And of course now there's a dialectic, what should they change it to? 10 Little Death Sucks, 10 Little Kennedys. What they should be doing is not doing it. And that's apparently beyond them. It's not possible for them to comprehend that it's pointedly wrong to structure a universe around paradox to allow you to weasel and lie and hurt innocent people. It's an enormous loss to our wisdom as a people that this is not widely grasped.